everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you some underrated fantasy standalone recommendations. These are hidden gems that don't get talked about enough, and on Goodreads almost all of these have less than 1,000 ratings. Some of them have slightly over 1,000 ratings, but honestly it's a crime that these books have this number of ratings. Like, they should be so much more higher rated. So without further ado, let's get started. The first book is The Winter Road by Adrian Selby. This book has 728 ratings on Goodreads. It's the first book that I ever reviewed on my channel, and it is still one of my favorite books of all time. It still has one of, if not my favorite female character of all time. It is phenomenal. Adrian Selby has a wonderful way with words. It's a story that really packs a punch. The characters have a lot of depth, and she is, to me, the perfect type of female character, because she's very vulnerable, but she also has a lot of strength. And that's what I want to see in my female characters. It's just such a fantastic story about struggle and loyalty. And if you haven't read it, check out my review. That review is not the best review in the world because it was my very first one, but you'll get the main points, and it's honestly fantastic. And I can't wait to read the rest of his books soon. I have read one of his other books called Brother Rider, which I also really enjoyed, but for me The Winter Road steals the show. So start with that one, in my opinion. The next one is A Quiet Vengeance by Tim Hardy. It is criminal that there are only 19 ratings on Goodreads. This book is incredible. It is one of my favorite books of this year, and it's such a character-centric focused story about what happens when, like, a single thing happens and it can change the course of history, and it can change the course of someone's life. The setting is wonderful. The world building is fantastic. It's a very rich world, even though it's only one book. This is one of the few books where, like, I genuinely woke up earlier than I normally wake up, which is already quite early. And I missed the gym to finish it because I wanted to know what happened at the end of the book. And there are so many of you who watch my channel that I know will love this book. He is also a self-published author. I am all for supporting self-published authors, and it's just phenomenal. Tim's writing in that book is phenomenal, so go check it out. The next one is The Wolf and the She-Bear by Morgan Stang. This has 103 ratings on Goodreads. It's a very short book. It's about 120 pages or something, and it's like a cat and mouse kind of story, and the main character is just so good. So good. It's one of those books that will kind of keep you on the edge of your toes. It's a good book to read in between some of the heavier stuff that you're reading or some of the longer books that you're reading. And there's a lot of tension. It's quite atmospheric. And I'm really excited to read more by Morgan Stang because I think she's got a very bright future ahead of her. The next one has got 167 ratings, and that is The Ingenious by Darius Hinks. This is also a kind of heist thriller fantasy book, and it's a really fun time. The writing is really solid. I think the plot does meander a little bit in places, but again, I think if you're looking for something that's very fast paced and just kind of gets to the point, this is the one for you. The main character also suffers from, like, the equivalent of, like, drug addiction, and it's really fascinating to read. I think it was a really compelling way that the author wrote it. And again, if you're just looking for something kind of that's relatively low fantasy but still has quite an interesting magic system that is well written and you can get through very quickly, this is the one for you. The next one is A City Dreaming by Daniel Polanski. So this has 1,139 ratings, so slightly cheating, but I have a review of this on my channel. It's amazing. I love Daniel Polanski's writing. I also recommend The Builders, but if I had to recommend one, I would recommend A City Dreaming. Not super plot driven, very character driven, but it's just, this is set in kind of like a magical version of New York, and the characters really steal the show. The main character really steals the show. I found this book to be very addictive because I just wanted to follow this character who, even though he's so different to me, I could relate to in many ways. And it's just amazing. Like, if you haven't read Polanski yet, read this book. If you want something shorter, then try The Builders, because it's only like 100 pages. But if you want something a bit more, then go with A City Dreaming. The penultimate book on my list is The Daughters of Ishtar by Hadia Elsby. So this has 1,368 ratings. So again, slightly cheating, but this is a really wonderful Middle Eastern, North African inspired story. It's the first book in a duology, so I am technically cheating because it's not a standalone, but you can read it as a standalone for sure. And it's basically a story following two women, one who is a very kind of rich, noble woman, but she's very much trapped in her life. The other one is a kind of woman in the lower classes of society, and she's going through a lot of struggle. And it's really about how these two women come together to try and do something bigger than themselves. The magic system is really interesting. I love elemental magic, and this is got elemental magic in it. There's also a school setting in it, so if you like the kind of academia setting, there is an element of that in this book. It reads very quickly. I loved it. Go read it. It's so good. The next one, and this is the final one on my list, this is a novella, and that is Hellmouth by Giles Christian, and it's got 1,162 ratings. Again, slightly cheating, but I think it's okay in this instance. This is a horror fantasy novella, basically following a group of, not mercenaries, but like soldiers, as they go to investigate something that has happened in this village. I listened to the audiobook. It's very gritty, quite gory, very violent, but it's phenomenal. It's super atmospheric, lots of tension. You never really know what's going to happen. I'm not typically a horror reader, though I am starting to get into it more. And I just thought this was a really good kind of palate cleanser in between longer books, while still giving me that kind of grim, dark fantasy aspect that we all know that I love. So definitely pick that up if you're looking for something a lot shorter. So there we have it. Those are some hidden gems. I will be doing some more videos like this, kind of recommending some hidden gems series. I'll do some kind of hidden gem classics as well, contemporary fiction too. So if there's any kind of specific subgenres or things that you want me to focus on, let me know down in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any other recs yourself, put them down in the comments too, and I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.